1028. 1028.
Good morning. My name is Virginia McLean, and I serve on the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. I'm delighted to welcome you all this morning, whether you are here in person or virtually. This is a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome, just as we are. If you are visiting with us this morning, we would love to meet you and share more about the life of this congregation. Visitor cards may be found in the pocket on the back of the chair in front of you. Please feel welcome to fill one out and place it in the offering plate during the service so we can connect with you. There are many important announcements on the sheets entitled Connect at the back of your bulletin this morning. Please open your bulletin so you can see all that you can be a part of, and I'm going to highlight a few of them. Our next Pathway to Membership class will be on Sunday, March 10th, following the morning service. Lunch and childcare are provided, so come learn about how you can be a part of UUCS and how you can participate in this congregation. You can sign up on the whiteboard in the foyer or by emailing membership@uucs.org. Registration for the church-wide mountain retreat is now underway. Come gather at the mountain on April 12th through the 14th, and registration ends on March 29th. After today's service, Fred Stoll will lead a move-about, walkabout, rollabout, sit-about, talk-about, to discuss improvements to the sanctuary as part of our mission objective to improve our facility, AKA Operation Facelift. Join Fred right here at the end of the service. And please remember that everyone is invited to the first Sunday coffee hour after the service today, straight through the doors into the fellowship hall. Come and fellowship. Thank you for making this place of care and kindness for every one of us. Thank you for making this a place of joy.
Good morning. I want to add my welcome also. My name is Ruth Stanton, and I am very happy to be serving as your worship associate today, this first Sunday in March. For our chalice lighting, we have this congregation's newly adopted purpose statement. We seek to create a world of mutual thriving for all beings, where everyone has enough and no one has to be afraid. Together, we strive to build this beloved community, growing in wisdom, care, justice, service, and wonder, open to all. And from the contemporary philosopher and activist Adrienne Marie Brown, I want us to live in this world, in this time together. I want us to love this planet and this species at this time. Please turn to hymn number 21 in our grayish, silver-ish hymnal, and join together in singing For the Beauty of the Earth. Our congregation has a tradition of the Rippling Bowl right over here. In a moment, you will have the opportunity to come forward and place a stone or a shell in our Rippling Bowl to represent your milestones and joys and your sorrows and concerns. The ripples and energy we create with the stones and shells reflects our connections we share together. our concerns shared are lessened, and joys shared are multiplied. I will place a stone and a shell in the Rippling Bowl for those of you that are joining us virtually. You may now come forward. Our denomination does not have a creed that we all have to recite every Sunday to be in lockstep. But we do consider how we want to be together with each other, in our community, and with our world. And we created a covenant a number of years ago and looked at it this time around and just added the very first phrase. Please join me now in saying our covenant together. With courage we say, we are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. We are glad to be together, and our time of greeting is a time to share that with each other. We welcome you to greet each other, remembering to take clues from the other folks as to the type of greeting that they might like. It is fine also to stay in your seat if you prefer. And if you're joining us virtually, you may want to send a text to a friend or a family person in the next few minutes. As we greet each other, we get kind of spread out and excitable. So after a few minutes, Aaron's going to play some music to remind us to return to our seats and let the greeting begin. It's a privileged position to be up here, y'all. I get to look out and see this group of fabulous people. Makes my heart happy. Anyway, the mission of our church is supported solely by the treasure, the time, and the talents of the members and friends of this congregation. We offer many, many ways for you to share your financial contributions, including passing our offering plate, which is what we're going to do next. Even if you've already contributed your treasure in another way, please add your blessing as the plate is passed. Now, every month, we share our plate with ways to further our ministry in our church community, our Spartanburg community, and our greater world. Half of any loose cash in all designated donations will go to our Share the Plate designee of the month. And for March, that group is the International Women's UU Convocation. I'm hoping I got the name right, and it's going to be introduced by Mary Miles.
We shared a laugh before when Ruth was talking to me about the name, because it's changed, and that's part of the issue. It was originally the International Convocation of UU Women, and then they sort of, I think, changed it because it was easier to say International Women's Convocation, and particularly the acronyms. But they've gone back to the official name, which is the International Convocation of Unitarian Universalist Women. And I will say, and I have got to get used to it too, is ICUUW for short, which is not really short, but anyway. But the ICUUW is the only international Unitarian and Universalist organization that's focused on the rights and empowerment of women and girls worldwide. And they work in partnership with UU women's groups and other women of faith, progressive women of faith, in a number of different countries. In recognition of the United Nations designated International Women's Day, which is March the 8th this year, our church has been generously sharing our plate with them since 2013. Last year, your contributions totaled almost $1,100, which was a record for us. And we received their newly established Chalice Award as their thank you for our ongoing and generous support. The sheet in your order of service this morning, which looks like this, describes just 3 of the ICUUW initiatives in India, Africa, and the U.S. Now, many of you are probably going to be surprised that there are actually Unitarians, mostly Unitarians, but Unitarians and Universalists in a number of other countries of the world. ICUUW has also been involved in projects in Bolivia, Guatemala, Uganda, the Philippines, Romania, Hungary, and Ukraine. Additionally, having special consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council allows them to have a more influential voice on the world stage and leverages the work that they are doing globally. If you want more information, you can Google ICUUW and check out their website. It's a fabulous website, and it describes this vital and unique UU organization. Our church has committed our financial support to many organizations and programs focused on human rights and equity on the local, state, and national levels. But this is an opportunity for us to support a Unitarian Universalist group working to advance our UU values globally. Let's share the plate today with ICUUW as generously as we can. Thank you.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, her son untold the weavings of time without end. My sight as deep as the sea, beating my heart, sounds the measures of hope that of love's eternity. That of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love blows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love blows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
Last week, we concluded our formal celebration of a month celebrating Black histories, Black present, and Black futures with the most remarkable speaker, Jody Snyder, who directs programs at the Uplift Outreach Center here in Spartanburg. If you have not heard Jody speak, I urge you to listen to her on the recording from last week. She's an amazing leader in this community. And I feel privileged to share life in this community with her and to have shared the microphone with her last month. We started in January talking about our purpose statement and our mission objectives. And we visited several times the life and teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., because I wanted for you to see the strength of parallel between our own purpose statement and the theology of interconnectedness and mutuality that he expresses in Letter from Birmingham Jail, a seminal document of theology and political thinking in our nation's history. And this religious movement's connection with Dr. King is very strong. When he was in Boston, he sometimes attended Unitarian churches. He wrestled with whether to become a Unitarian or to remain a part of the Black Baptist tradition. And I think it's a really good splash of cold water in the face of our own religious movement to think about how much our nation would have lost if he had become a Unitarian. I don't think that our wonderful tradition, wonderful as it is, had the spiritual resources that he needed to lead us in the way that he did. And that's a challenge to us to go further. But you'll have noticed when we were talking in January that anytime I talked about Dr. King, I would talk about the thousands of people who came before him, who led him and taught him, and who worked with him, and the challenge to all of us to be among the thousands who follow in his work. Thereafter, he's not a single man alone. And there is a danger that we make him into a saint and an icon and lose the energy behind what he challenged us with. Right? He died being reviled by the majority of people in this country because he had the courage to speak truth to us. And then in February, we continued a whole season of thinking about Black histories and Black present and Black futures by working through the literary landmark of God's Trombones by James Weldon Johnson. And we went beyond words into actions, many of us, by going to a community celebration of this event, which was overwhelming and powerful in ways uncomfortable and elevating both. And that's what community life is. It's about allowing ourselves to be torn a little bit so that we can grow together in new ways, like muscle tearing. And you feel it, the discomfort, so that it can rebind and grow to greater strength. This month, we continue to break the boundaries of the formal month of February. And we move in this continuing celebration of Black histories and Black present and Black futures to move into Women's History Month as well. Women's histories and women's present, women's futures. And all through this month, we are going to interweave two voices. This philosopher and activist, Adrienne Maree Brown, and the social worker and teacher, Brene Brown. Two Browns interwoven. And if you ever feel bad about finding yourself in South Carolina and worry about what good any of us can do and what good can come out of a place like this, has anything good ever come out of Nazareth? Anything good ever come out of Spartanburg? Take heart, because Adrienne Maree Brown and Brene Brown are both from Texas. Fear not the potential of flourishing in us all. The voices of these two women are not the same. And they are not the same person. But the interweaving of their voices is a kind of tearing and binding to greater strength. One way we could summarize all of their rich thinking, and it is very rich, would be that whatever challenge life asks of you, and from wherever that challenge comes, from pain in life, from suffering in the world, from the beauty of life and its potential, from a source of power beyond you, or that you find within, or just your own dedicated conscience making a choice, wherever life's challenge might come to you, when it speaks, you have the capacity to answer. Join me in silence. Been a busy week in the sacred grove of UUCS. We had 2 fights break out. Two fights. That's actually not so uncommon. You laugh as if you know. We did. But a weird thing happened. People living their lives in community with each other will enter into conflict. It is guaranteed, right? When I meet with couples in this room to prepare for a union, a wedding, whatever it is that they would like to covenant with each other, we take a whole hour and a half time period to just talk about getting in fights and de-escalating fights. Because no matter how much you're into somebody, that's going to happen. People get in fights, and it happens here too, and just over it, y'all are really laughing now. Surely nobody had this experience already this morning with your beloved. No. 2 fights. But the weird thing is, people in their lives, in their intentions, in their busyness, collided with each other. And the collisions were very real. There was real wounding that happened. And news of the collision came to me or someone else, and there's that moment of, okay, now we got to go deal with this. Have to enter into the conflict to resolve the conflict. Makes your stomach hurt. And as I or others headed into these conflicts, the people who had instigated the conflict turned around via text or in person or over email and said, "Oh no, I messed up. I messed up. I have messed up. That is not what I meant to do, and I have caused pain. What do I do to fix this? What do I do to make this better?" Now, seriously, if you have ever caused someone pain, be honest with yourself. Nobody raise your hands. Is your first instinct typically to say, "My bad, let me make it up to you"? Some of you do that. I have it on good personal experience that some of you do not first do that. And it's hard for me too. I don't want to be wrong. And I know why I did what I did. And maybe you deserved it. 2 fights, 2 people, totally different situations. Before I or someone else could enter in to try to referee the situation, turn around and saying, "I messed up. My bad. What can I do to address this?" Now think for a minute. The courage it takes to cause harm, to realize it, and to own it before anybody can come to you and say, "Come on now." Think of the courage. And what allows a person to act out of that courage? To own their actions and to try to move their actions beyond where they seem to have ended to a different endpoint. To move that story of hurt to a story of something else. There's a lot happening here. There's so much happening here now. In fact, I'm going to ask you to help me because there's no way I can remember everything that's happening now. So if you have ever wanted to actually hold the microphone in this congregation and tell everybody your thing that you're doing that they all need to know about, you're going to have that chance in about 30 seconds, right? Get ready. There's so much that's happening here right now. This coming Wednesday at 6:30, there's going to be a Council of Committees meeting. And all the committee chairs are invited to come. If you don't have it on your calendar, committee chairs, and you're not planning to come, now is the time to write it on your calendar and to plan to come. Because we're going to look together at our calendar for the next 3 months and 6 months. We did this back in the winter, and it was such a powerful practice to get things on the calendar that weren't on the calendar so that we don't collide with each other and get into these fights. And when we did it, we loaded the calendar up with stuff, and since then, those of us who work with the calendar have noticed things popping up, unsummoned, as if people came out of that meeting and started continuing to add things, which is super helpful, right? And so we're going to do this again. We're going to look across 3 months and 6 months so that we are trying to stay aligned with each other and work together and just be aware of what each other are doing. Because there is so much that is happening. At that meeting, those committee chairs are going to look at the calendar, but also they're going to hear from 4 groups of people that have stepped forward to lead our 4 mission objectives. And this is going to be more than reporting. This is going to be beginning, in a very open way, brainstorming, how do we do this together? How do we work together on this? Does this sound like a 1-hour meeting to you? No promises, right? There's so much happening. You know what else is happening? People are pulling out stepladders in the middle of worship services and climbing walls, like Peter Parker is a member of our congregation. And you know what? 3 years ago, that camera wasn't even on the wall. And there wasn't a team where somebody could hold the stepladder and somebody else could climb up, and then somebody else would actually know what to do with the camera, right? There would have been 2 people, one who climbed up, one who didn't know what to do, and the first one fell off. We have a ladder holder now. And it's so important because the growth of this team of people has generated consistent live stream of our service so that now every Sunday, half of our worshiping congregation is online. Yeah. Look at the folks that are here. There is another group of you not here. But believe me, they send emails, and and these folks have created an interaction with the world that we cannot see while we sit here, but that is very much alive and engaged. And what's going on? There's so much that's happening. You know what else is happening? Aaron is texting me at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Yeah, hasn't Aaron done a beautiful job today? Somebody who is part of that virtual audience doesn't come was talking to me this week, and they said, "Who is that music person you have? Her voice is so clear." I said, "That one's Erin. That's Erin." So beautiful. Erin travels more than an hour to be with us every time she's here. And this morning, her husband is away in a different city on work, and her kids are sick. So she's been up all night with sick kids and texted this morning, very apologetic, to say, "What do we do?" And I don't want to tell you what my responses were at 6 in the morning, but she was as gracious as ever. And so one way or the other, this person whose first priority is to be a parent and a leader in her family has also come here to lead us. The multiplicity of our lives and of all of our commitments. So how about we give her a standing ovation for the drive that she made today? That's the parent my kids wish that I was. There's so much that's happening. What is happening? What all is happening here? What's happening? Now, if you're going to send me emails telling me to make sure to include something in announcements, this is a time for you to share it too. What's going on here? Tell us something, Sarah.
Next Sunday after church, Fred is doing an wing walkabout for those that are interested in upcoming changes that might happen to the RE wing or contributing your voice. So please come to that right after church.
And not only next Sunday, but this Sunday and then the Sunday after the next Sunday, right? Looking at all the things that might happen in the facility. And the RE wing has been one of the places of greatest investment in our facility in the last couple of years. And there is a ton more that we're talking about. So it is worth engaging, even if you no longer go to RE school on Sunday mornings.
We'll have Tarot House here next Sunday from 2 to 5 for anyone who's interested in tarot.
So all of our different spiritualities,
It's every second Sunday, but it's next Sunday for sure.
all of our different spiritualities, and every second Sunday there's a group that meets to learn and practice tarot. And I can tell you, as someone who's exiting another meeting at the time, they have never made that room smell so good as when they bring all of their food. So even if you don't have any time for tarot, come for the food. What's going on in this congregation? What's going on?
Congregation's probably unaware that there are 10 recovery meetings that happen noon Monday through Friday and 7 o'clock Monday through Friday, with an additional one hopefully coming for women on Saturdays.
So every noon and every evening at 7 o'clock now, 5 days a week, there is a recovery meeting, an AA meeting or a Drug Addicts Anonymous meeting that is happening here.
Hello, I have to let people know that we also have a really fun acoustic jam on every Wednesday at 7, and so come and show up and play in the sanctuary right here, yeah.
Yes, I traveled
a lot of fun.
this week to another city to visit with somebody who's from another city. Neither cities are Nazareth or Spartanburg, 2 different cities, and they said, I've heard about your acoustic jam. Can I bring my dulcimer? Yes.
Yeah, please do, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I said, you will light that place up if you bring a dulcimer. What is happening in this congregation? The IWUUC would like to speak.
Not about that, but for those of you who don't know, there are 4 of us who serve on an archives committee for our church.
Hold the microphone up to your mouth, Mary.
An archives committee for our church, and we have created an archives over at the library of historical documents and information, and we're keeping that updated. But one of the things that we're doing right now with Scott and Ann and the library is creating a way to have permanent records for our life events that happen in the church. Births, child dedications, marriages or unions, bridging. I mean, there are 5 different categories that we're looking at, but we don't consistently collect that information. And we think that would be valuable for not only of us here now to know about, but also for those who follow us in the future.
So making recording a historical legacy in many ways. Every time I write an article for the Unison, I'd swallow hard and think, this is going in the library archive, and somebody will see this in 100 years. What terrible things will I have said about other people that they will then say about me? Alice.
Andy, thanks for that announcement. I'm so glad that we're the kind of church that hosts AA meetings and associated meetings, but I do want to give everyone else a little heads up here. That noon meeting completely fills our parking lot. So if you want to have a 1 o'clock meeting, I strongly recommend you change it to 1:15. Give them a chance to exit before you try to enter, or you're going to be really challenged there.
That's a committee chair that has looked at calendars, right?
That's right. And also, there's a lot of good social justice stuff in the happenings, but I do want to tell you especially, 2 weeks from today, Doug Allen, one of the South Carolina butterfly experts, is going to give a 9:30 in the morning talk with slides about butterflies, where to find them, and how to find them. So I hope we'll see you then.
All right, we're going to do 3 more. We're going to do Jean, Bernie, and whatever last person wants to get lucky at the UU today.
This is about an upcoming event. I will be teaching a class, The Gifts of Imperfection, with Brene Brown. Since our minister mentioned Brene Brown, is a study, I think, for us that will help us learn about wholehearted living as we seek to live out our mission.
Thank you, Jean. So that's coming later this spring.
Later this spring.
Thank you, Jean.
Things for a schedule are a little up in the air at the moment. However, I am still continuing to strive to create a Toastmasters group within this building. That is the idea, to have people who want to speak up more in their communities, in the public, and be able to talk about the things that have a dynamic social justice, if that makes sense. And giving people the courage and confidence to be able to speak out, especially for stories which need to be heard from you, not from people who look like me necessarily.
Thank you, Bernie. One more person. Last chance. It looks like we could have a quartet. You could all talk at the same time.
My lovely wife Kathleen has done a series of biographies of notable UU women and put it on the bulletin board in the fellowship hall. Y'all go see it.
Thank you, John. So not only this amazing display across the back of the sanctuary, but the wall continuing into the next room with another amazing display. So much going on, right? And we have hands raised with things to say that we're not even hearing right now. So much happening. And the joke about a quartet speaking at once, or the reality of schedule your noon meeting for 1:15, is all about how do you do all this together? How do we make it all work together? And not only how do we not run into each other, but how do we not wear ourselves out so that we decide to hate ourselves about this instead of loving this surge of energy? How do we do that? I had another weird experience, not a fight this time. It was really fascinating. It was wonderful. In a 36-hour period, I had 5 committee chairs asked to meet with me. We met. And every one of them said, in their own way, I'm so excited about our mission objectives and about all the things that are happening in the life of the congregation. And I think these are the right things for us to do. And I cannot do them. I cannot add this to what I'm already doing. In multiple committees across that whole spectrum of ministries that you can see on the front cover of your bulletin, all of our ministry areas. And I heard this, and the response that I offered was, I agree with you. I agree with you that you cannot add all of this to what you're already doing. I want you to think about the courage that it takes to be a person who's already stepped forward as a leader and who is already working very hard to make all this wonderful stuff that we're talking about happen. A person who's committing time and energy and resources and self, asking of family. A person who is all in. What is the courage that it takes to say, and it can't be me. It can't be me. We live in a time when some leaders say, it can only be me. You're laughing again as if you know something. I value so much the work we have all done, not only for the last 2 years, but for the last 7 years together, of slowing down, of listening, of talking, of listening again, of thinking together, of finding disagreement, of really discovering that we do not see some things the same way, of still choosing to value each other, over and over again. That practice of dialogue, which is really just like practicing conflict and how to move conflict into something different than hurt. So that our collisions and our disagreements and our fatigue isn't the end of our story, but an opening. I value so much that we have worked on this the way we have together, so that not once but twice, when people find themselves in conflict, they say, whoa, whoa, slow down. Let me listen again, because that's not what I meant to do. Hear how brilliant that is. For members of this congregation to discover themselves in conflict and themselves to act with agency, to de-escalate before anyone has to call them to that. And I value so much the way our understanding of leadership is evolving, so that very committed, strong leaders who have led for years can look at the scope of what the congregation is saying and not say, what a bunch of idiots, and not say, nope, no way, but to say, I can't do that, in dialogue. Not to bury that thought inside of themselves, but to say out loud with courage, I think this is right, and I can't do it. And the reason that my answer to each of them has been, I agree with you, is not because I don't want them to lead. Oh my God, please do not stop. The leaders that we have, we want. They have brought us this far. And also, there are new leaders to join us that we call forth when we say, I can't take any more on, but I think this is right. Rather than closing a door, we open it. And we invite new leaders to come forward. This is not easy. In large part because anybody who works with us is not going to do it the way we would have done it. And therefore, we're guaranteed disappointment and frustration. Conflict. But we know how to deal with conflict. You just talk about it. The vulnerability to say, our collective voice, I think, is leading us right. My individual capacity has limitations. Throws open the doors for us to discover our collective capacity. Think about our annual fund campaign. We have been led by one person who has not been in our congregation for an entire year, and another person who is a millennial. Now, there is no doubting their brilliance and expertise. I think we owe them a second standing ovation, don't you? And as you can see, they brought us so far. You can read in the bulletin how far. And what they're saying is not just, hey, please give money. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is, we challenge us to all participate, so that whatever we build, whatever the final dollars are, it's something that we do through our collective capacity, together. They respect you too much to have gotten up and made another announcement today. We're out of the month of February and they're trying to wrap things up. They don't want to belabor it. I, however, have no respect for you. If you haven't pledged, I want to urge you to do it. And not anything that you can't do. I don't want you to do anything to hurt your family, yourself. But to hear the message that none of us have the capacity to do this alone. together, we discover something very powerful. And even this occurs when we each realize, I can't do it all. It's not the end of the story. It opens us into something new. When we have the courage to acknowledge our limitations, when we can be brave to name our vulnerabilities, when we can choose to praise the ideas and the initiatives of others, and also to say, I support you and can only do so much, our vulnerability becomes a gift. Not just the things that we do really well, but the things that we don't do so well. When we speak that in dialogue, we open doors and walls that seemed impassable. And we find futures for us all. Think of what Andy shared in a time of dialogue in this meditation. She said, now every day at noon and every evening at 7, 5 days a week, the parking lot is crowded with people coming to AA or DAA meetings every weekday, twice a day. And the place is packed. And every one of them came saying, I can't do this alone. And the rest of them said, so let's find our future.
Please join me on hymn number 6 in your gray hymnal. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as visionless, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did was, tell them I said yes to love.
And now to extinguish our chalice as we get ready to go forth. From the Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. May we find the courage to let go of who we think we're supposed to be so that we can fully embrace our authentic selves, the imperfect, the creative, the vulnerable, the powerful, the broken, and the beautiful.
In our vulnerability is strength. tear so that we bind together.
We have spent